Hi everyone. So I'm back with another animated series review today, this time of Animals of Farthing Wood, which I watched with my friend Juita. Thanks again for that. And I'd also like to thank my friend Gina for watching this with me. So anyway, as roads are being paved over the world of Forest of Farthing Wood, animals led by Fox venture to a safe haven at White Deer Park. That's what makes up the storyline for the first season. And the story really does show the struggles animals go through in the wild. The idea of how man can really harm the nature around them, and how much they've made these animals flee and are the cause of many problems, from roads to poison, among other dangers. But there's also plenty of natural dangers too: predators, sickness, so many dangers for these characters to go through. And I want to let you know that this is considered a kid's show, but it's one of the most gruesome ones I've ever seen. So keep that in mind. Don't expect something like Nick Jr., which was crazy because one episode I watched online had coming up next Little Bear, when this couldn't be any more different. Animals are eaten and killed in very dark ways, including a bird in an early episode having some of the background mice skewered on thorns. Yeah, really dark. And some of the deaths were more established characters that I'm not going to say exactly who, are very heartbreaking. In particular, one around the last few episodes of season 2, and another one that's only mentioned, and it's not given the same level of care as the others, which was even sadder in a way. Now, the first season I really found the best, and the second one was pretty good too, in spite of some more depressing issues, and when the animals have gotten to White Deer Park, but then they're against another antagonist, Scarface, a blue fox that finds all red foxes common and has a rivalry that grows more and more escalated between him and Farthing Wood animals. And the premise alone of these seasons is really interesting. Animals, even ones that are enemies, come together in times of trouble. Notable is Adder, who tries to eat against the oath a few times other characters, but when they arrive at White Deer Park, it's said how she wants to be a regular snake again, but she never can be, and that she will always have the loyalty to the other animals, even if she hides it well. Then there's the third season, which is lighter and only one upsetting death that I can remember off the top of my head, but it's also a lot weaker. There's plenty of filler with characters that I despise, as well as a plot line that is completely ridiculous, led by a terrible villain that I'm going to get into for characters. So, the first season is a definite go, and as is the second, and the third, while it has its problems, is worth checking out too, to get the whole idea, especially in the last episode when there's some major feels for somebody that's been there for the beginning. Now, the animation is really good for a TV show. The animals are realistic enough, but they aren't quite Watership Down level realistic. There's still a certain storybook element to the way that they're drawn that makes them look real enough for the idea of the severity, but also cartoonish enough that they have a sense of humanity. So that works well for it. Now on to the characters. There's a lot of them, so I'm going to be leaving out quite a few. And there might be some implications here of spoilers, so if you haven't seen the series by this point, you might want to stop at a certain point when I get into characters from later seasons. I'll give you fair warning at that point. Starting with Fox, he's a natural leader and has great concern for all the animals of Farthing Wood. There are times when he can be hasty, as seen in the second season, and it's almost as if he's a totally different character. Overall, he's a leader that does his best to get all the animals safely to White Deer Park, and he really feels terrible about ones that are lost along the way, which makes him a very sympathetic character, that he cares so much and isn't like, say, Crone from Dinosaur, where every animal for himself. He really believes every animal should have gotten there, and he does take responsibility as a leader, more so than any other character in this whole show, really. Then there's Badger, voiced by Ron Moody, who you might know as Fagin from the 1968 musical film Oliver. So, picture that voice, no, as well as his other characters in this, but very much more genuine and actually caring. He has a sort of grandfatherliness to him. He's one of the kindest characters, and his relationship with Mole, or Moley as he calls him, is so adorable. He also really cares deeply about the animals and is sure to make sure everyone is going to be present for the journey from White Deer Park, and he manages kindness even to animals that nobody else really trusts, like Adder. And on to Moley. Oh my gosh, she's so adorable. Now, he can lead to some problems due to his greediness for food and worms, but at the same time, he's just so sweet. And when he rides on Badger or asks to get down, oh, I love him so much. And he's just one of the best characters. Vixen is Fox's mate, and she's a sort of voice of reason similarly to Fox, and she can also even help Fox see the error of his ways at times. Probably one of the best girl characters on the show. Next, of course, to Adder. Adder is a character that has some grumpy moments and lack of concern for the other characters and enjoys teasing them. But unlike other entries I'm going to mention later, she's actually funny. And she does really care for the others. She's happy to do Fox favors when she can. And she feels very closely to those that she loves, even if she doesn't admit it. And she has a great friendship with Hal, who is another character that at first is really unlikable, with constant platitudes and cliches, and herself being hypocritical to the point of judging Box always, and if when one point Kestrel accidentally eats a farming mouse, she winds up giving her a hard time over it when she nearly can't tell the difference before or later. Yeah, so there is that, but an arc in the later half of the second season really makes her improved, and by the third, she's become a character I really enjoy. Toad is another great one. How he calls everyone matey, and has a sort of sailorish vibe to him with the way he talks like that, as well as just being so friendly and familiar with everyone, as well as the one who was the guide to the journey. So we have to thank him for the story overall. Now on to a character that really doesn't work. Weasel. Oh boy. Why? Why is she here? Comic relief and annoying characters can be funny in certain ways. Take Spongebob. He's a very popular cartoon character, even though his personality annoys everyone. But good characters like that are, one, more annoying to the characters than the audience, and two, they need to have some qualities to make us root for them. Weasel's not only obnoxious with her voice and laugh that could grate ears, not to mention when they make her sing, but she's also really unlikable. Pheasant's wife is killed in episode 3 or 4 of the show, and being the first real death. And this is what Weasel said. The other animals are understanding why Pheasant is so paranoid, and of course, Weasel has this to say, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. Yeah, she's that kind of character. And she doesn't improve later. She has one decent arc in the second season, but that's all eradicated. She also has a mate named Measley who first harasses her, and then when they actually do get together, I'm willing to forgive Measley for that, even though he's pretty annoying too, because they make the thing reproduce, and she's always calling him a measly twerp and getting her kids to do the same thing. So no respect for their father while she does nothing herself. And she has a terrible arc in the third season that was so annoying. Oh yeah. Worst character on the show, period. Nothing to enjoy with her. The 1 or 2 episodes where she is decent are brought back for the third, where she's just completely unlikable again. Then there's Bold, who is Fox's son and a major character in the second season. He's overly prideful, but after all he goes through, we really sympathize with him, and he has a very decent side arc, unlike somebody else's who I just mentioned that's only there for stretching plot. We honestly feel like he is a true character that should have time to shine. Then there's Rollo, who's a big lovable dog, and he deserves so much more than he gets. A lot of these characters, like him and I'll Never Be Sausages, an adorable little piglet, just are cute, just like Mole, and that's all you need to know, that every time they're on, you love them. Scarface is a very intimidating villain and is abusive to his mate verbally, which sadly doesn't go anywhere for her, but a very intimidating villain. Prejudiced against red foxes, as well as having very deep hatred for the Farthing fox and all his friends. So he's a very real threat. Now on to some characters that I also have strong opinions on, but they're from later seasons, so you might not want to keep watching if you haven't watched the video. So again, Farthing is great, even with some annoying subplots and annoying characters. But I'm going to be going into spoiler territory now. Now, the problem is, by the way, last chance, that there are some very sad deaths, as I'm sure if you're still watching to this point know of, especially ones that I really have gone on over. Like, characters that feel like they're trying to replace ones that have died and not working. The worst of which is Hercule, a badger that cannot shut up about being kind. Kid shows often thrive on kindness, which is great. Mr. Rogers was a good example, but here's the difference. Say this: you make every day a better day just by being yourself, or Mr. Rogers calmly talking to the camera about kindness, or characters discussing, as opposed to, "Oh, not to worry, I'm kind. Oh, that wasn't very kind. I'm sorry this is unkind, but..." That's how Hercule is. And he never shuts up about it. No subtlety, and it's not like we're even trying to teach a message, so there's no reason for it at all. And then there's Moley's son. No real reason for him. There's a couple good mates for them, like Sinuous for Adder, and he's probably one of the best characters from later seasons. And then there's Bully, the rat and main antagonist of the third season. Okay, Blue Fox could potentially hunt and kill anyone single-handedly. A rat needs an army to do it. So, here's the thing. The rat has more need to be threatening on his own than that, but they make him a bumbling villain that's never even funny, so he's a very ineffective character. One of the weaker ones, and a very pitiful villain compared to Scarface. So, Animals of Farthing does have some serious problems. A third season that can't even come close to the first one. Some unnecessary deaths that are just stupid or depressing or just done for shock value. Some characters that get way too much screen time and never get any comeuppance for what they do. Weasel. As well as some characters that are likable and some of the best dying, leaving ones that you don't care about as much, and constant offspring coming up that don't quite match their parents and are hard to keep track of all of them. But at the same time, there are good characters too, and the series does portray a realistic view of animals, and even if the tone from comedic parts with Weasel clash with the dark overtones, I can really appreciate how it was willing to go into directions kids' cartoons won't normally go in. There are times I was actually shocked by what was going on. So, Animals of Farthing is a good series. If you can get past the few problems, I think it's definitely worth checking out. And as always, if you have an animated movie you want me to review, please leave in the comments section below. And pop goes the Weasel.